A boy becomes the master of an angel who falls from the sky. Hello and welcome back to our channel iSky. Today we are going to do a recap of the anime series called Heaven's Lost Property. Episode 1. The episode begins with Tomoki as he explains his recurring dream. In his dream he meets an angel, but does not know her name yet, and he's in love with her. Aishiro Sugata presents his assistant Pretty, and explains about his research concerning the mysterious black hole hovering over the Earth. Later Sohara tries to wake up Tomoki, who is dreaming, and she made the mistake of moving the covers and shrieks seeing his morning wood. He tries to make an excuse about it but was then punished by Sohara. Back at school, he sleeps during class and encounters the angel again. Sohara wakes him up, and he had a sad look along with tears in his eyes. Sohara showed some sympathy to him and tried to convince him to see a doctor, but he shrugs off saying it's nothing. However, Sohara brings Tomoki to see Sugata to discuss the problem. Suddenly the whole class was in front of the entrance to the school, and Sugata has positioned itself with his glider on the roof. This is also the first time we meet Mikako, the school president, who is apparently insured up to 10 million yen for Sugata. After he jumped, he flew for a few seconds before he crashes into a tree. Because of this he had received a few wounds, but they weren't serious. After that, Sugata and the gang meet up in his lab where Sohara explains about reluctant Tomoki's dreams. Sugata asserts that he knew what the dream meant, and he theorized it was about the new world. He connects it to that of the black hole and believes it's a portal to the new world. Sugata arranges to meet at midnight at the cherry blossom tree to see if the black hole would appear. However, Sugata was stopped by Mikako, and Sohara couldn't go out after midnight. It was just Tomoki waiting there alone. He then receives an emergency call to get the hell out of there. But it was too late. Ikaros falls from the black hole and makes a crater. After some hesitation, he pulls her out of the rubble. When trying to bring her out of the danger zone, he is almost killed by a pillar. He screams and looks away, but the creature spread her wings and flew away from the pillar and up into the sky. He opened an eyes to think he is flying, but turns to face the angel. She then does the imprinting process, embodied by the chain wrapped around Tomoki's hand and connect to her neck collar. She lands and reveals who she is, a pet class angeloid called Ikaros. The next day, Tomoki wakes up to see her, and she offers him to give her a command. This resulted with Tomoki becoming rich, which was made possible by Ikaros. He also altered time so he could have some fun, at least for him. After Tomoki accidentally wishes Ikaros to strip in front of him, he unknowingly wishes for world domination. The next morning, Tomoki wakes up to see everyone is gone. Ikaros explains that when he wished to become a world ruler, no one would see him as their king, so everyone was erased because of the card. Throughout the day, he became depressed, as he couldn't decide whether to be sad or angry. Ikaros apologizes and asked if she would commit suicide. Tomoki didn't take this seriously and said yes, saying he had enough trouble. Just before Ikaros would sadly shoot herself, Tomoki tackles and stops her, begging her to abort the command and wish that everything would have been just a dream. He begs her to stay with him, as he would be alone otherwise. And so the day begins again, but as a dream. Tomoki sees Ikaros again, and she asked if she was to be a part of his dream. Tomoki says no, and wants her to do what she wants. She didn't understand, but she understood to stay by his side. Episode 2, Ikaros follows Tomoki all the way to school. Tomoki dismisses her after introducing her to Sugata and Mikako, but Ikaros gives Tomoki a card just in case he needs anything. Sohara trips and falls, revealing to Tomoki that she is wearing panties with a dog print. He subconsciously wishes she would change them to something less childish and thus the card activates. Sohara's panties immediately remove themselves and fly into the sky like a bird. Sohara rushes to the New World Discovery Club room for help, but whatever underwear she puts on is sent flying out the window as well. Ikaros returns to the school to assist Tomoki, and he in his embarrassment makes a rash wish for panties in general. Ikaros grants the wish by having the panties instantly pulled from every girl in the town. Sugata determines that Sohara is unable to keep any underwear on because Tomoki must be expecting a particular pair. So Ikaros and Mikako shop for a large selection of panties while the boys escort Sohara home. during which Tomoki shields her against any accidental exposure. Sohara tries on the panties that Ikaros and Mikako returned with, but all the panties are sent flying except for one that looks strikingly similar to Sohara's original dog print, a bear. Tomoki recalls that when Sohara was practicing breaking slabs when the two were younger, he pulled her pants down and saw her puppy print panties, enraging her enough to chop through every slab, then continued to chop Tomoki, resulting in Tomoki's disliking of dogs and Sohara's chopping of Tomoki when he acts perverted. Present Sohara throws a multitude of items at him. Episode 3, Sugata explains in the beginning of the episode about the demarcation and melons and what that has to do with the new world. Tomoki, Sohara, Ikaros, and Mikako stay with Sugata overnight. This happens because Tomoki and Sohara do not understand their math homework and ask Sugata for advice. In return, he wants them to help him with his research. Ikaros gets her first reasonable order, goes shopping so a meal could be prepared. It will be a curry as suggested by Mikako. In a grocery stand, we see for the first time as ever so often later in the series Ikaros petting a watermelon. She does her job very well and buys carrots, potatoes and onions, meat, but only one chick. Mikako had no problems with it, to kill it, but Sohara cannot allow. Ikaros will now take care of the immediate consequences to the chick. Tomoki pats her head as a gesture of appreciation for their first purchase, which triggers a feeling in Ikaros what they do not understand. When all the food, Sohara and Tomoki start laughing because it allowed Tomoki have fun. Which Ikaros cannot understand because they do not know what it means to have fun, and tried it out again and again. She knows, however, that when she is with her master, her heart is relieved, which it shares with Sugata, who then gives her the homework, find out how related their feelings with Tomoki. You should not forget tomorrow issue a report. During the day, Sugata finds out that Ikaros appears to have no numeracy skills, and has the ability to fly at Mach 24 and is capable of a pururiku, a 5-meter fish to catch from the Amazon. The next day, Tomoki is to perform for Sugata a test flight so as to repay him for the help with homework. On the evening are all exhausted, but happy. At the end of this episode, Tomoki and Ikaros are messing with the broken toilet seat. Episode 4, Sugata unbellies the second pretty and discusses the capabilities of compasses and their relationships with the new world. The next day after the arrival of the panties, Sohara shows up and gets mad and destroys a good amount of the panties. Secretly, Sohara got a card from Ikaros. They talk to Sugata and let him know they came back. Sohara makes Tomoki promise to get rid of them. The next day, Sohara yells out the window if Tomoki had got rid of them yet. He responds that it was taken care of, and then takes out a pair of panties, while thinking to himself that there is no way he would get rid of them. Then the panties blow up in his face. Sohara laughs at him and explains that she used the card to make it so whenever Tomoki touches or looks at a pair of panties, they would explode. Tomoki then tells Sohara that there is a big bug on her wall. When she turns around to look, Tomoki stares at her panties and successfully blows them up. Sohara and a reluctant Ikaros leave to go on a girl's day out, while wishing Tomoki luck on getting out of the house. We are helped to a handful of scenes where Tomoki tries to leave the house and fails. Meanwhile, Sohara is buying some panties for Ikaros, and then after they go to a diner to eat, Sohara tells Ikaros a story about Tomoki and her when they were younger, and then tells Ikaros that she has friends. They both are a little worried about Tomoki, so they decide to go see him. Back with Tomoki, he decides to just make a run for the door, which is fairly successful until Sohara opens the door. Tomoki goes flying into her crotch, and seeing the panties, blows him unconscious. When he wakes up, Sugata and Mikako are there, explaining that Sohara was blasted inside the house. Mikako encourages him to save her, and offers him an assortment of army-style equipment. Tomoki, not thinking clearly, runs inside with the equipment to save her, although it would have been better to send in someone who doesn't make panties explode. Tomoki gets in and sees Sohara, but Sohara runs away in embarrassment, to which he yells out to her to not open his bedroom closet. Sohara doesn't heed his advice, and dumbly opens it to reveal his stash of porn mags, which activates a booby trap Tomoki set up last night. The panty monster booby trap immediately grabs Sohara, and Tomoki is stuck thinking of a way to save her. Tomoki thinks back to when his grandpa came into his room, bloodied, giving him life advice. Tomoki, encouraged by his grandpa's words, attacks the panty monster, freeing Sohara. Tomoki continues his ruthless attack and jumps into the monster, causing all the panties to blow up, destroying his house. Outside, Sugata and Mikako are wondering if they are dead, to which Ikaros says that Tomoki is still there. Tomoki rises up, holding an unconscious Sohara, naked. By this time a crowd has appeared, and they cheer for Tomoki, who has seemingly saved the girl. Sohara opens her eyes, and Tomoki apologizes to her about the mess even though Sohara made the wish of panty explosives. Tomoki then glances at her skirt, causing a boner to show up, causing Sohara to angry again and karate chop him in the face. And that's all for today, guys. If you liked the recap and want more summaries like this, consider subscribing to our channel.